We have with us Mr. Vinod from Essar Group, who is going to speak to us at what is the new age technology driven solutions in today's time for a CIO. Thank you so much, sir, for joining at ETCIO Annual Cloud Summit, 5th edition, and it's great to see you again. In today's time, we talk about a lot of technologies, AI, ML, and Gen AI, but we don't talk about the main problem, which is data refining in such a large scale level that you are handling for sure. And how do you think that we can utilize this most important perspective in today's time when it comes to having a right decision making when such technologies being introduced to us in today's market, such as AI?
It's a very pertinent question you asked and forces me to think very hard about how we think about it. But you're absolutely right, because data is really like the notes in the music. It can be, if you don't put it together right, it's noise. But when you put it, together in the right way, it's music. The way I think about data is really everybody has data. People will tell you we don't have data. That's not true. Everybody has data. They just don't know enough about it to understand it. So you can't just use data. You have to learn data, and you have to know data, and you have to understand data. The biggest challenge that most companies face is, say, somebody is talking to you about sales. What does that mean to different people in the organization? I'm willing to bet if you ask that question in any company, you'll get 10 answers, because somebody is deducted returns, somebody is asking gross, somebody is asking net. And that doesn't mean that they don't have data, it just means that they don't understand data. And you can't build the higher levels of the building without first understanding what is that data. Tomorrow, if I have a forecasting model that is going to predict my sales, I need to know what sales is it predicting, right? So I think the exercise of understanding your data, the exercise of learning your data, is something that people should devote time to. So you'll find that a lot of organizations have analytics teams, but not data science teams. And I think we're missing a trick there, because what you need is people that will ask you, that will, strip back that data and say, what is the meaning of this number? How does this number change when we look at it from this angle or from this perspective? How does my CFO see sales versus my head of sales? And these are deep questions, because you will never get anywhere without that. Otherwise, you'll build the house on top of it and then find out months later that you're arguing about different concepts at the foundation of it. So I think it's a great question, and I think the more work in very short, the more work that you do on your data, the less work you'll have to do on your analytics or your AI or your model.
So, you handle a very large scalability of data and you have a very huge decision making power when it comes to the infrastructure as well. And cloud obviously is being placed at I'm sure, at the forefront of it. But when it, coming to a intelligence decision making, that's where the problem comes in, and that's where the, huge loophole comes in, even if your data is defined at one point. If I take it, how do you think that we can tackle this issue of?
So one of the things that we did very successfully in one of my roles was to actually have the concept of a business area. Is to look at data as a continuous set. Let's say when you're talking about finance, how do you encapsulate the definitions of data in that? How do you understand the sources, the uses of data? And it's almost like you have to have a team that is working on that within your analytics team, that is saying, this is what my data means. Every time that I add a new system, where am I using data from? Am I using it from the right place? Am I putting it back in the right place? This is vital.
I think that's what makes it very important. Very, very thought-provoking statement that you have made, and thank you so much for sharing the same. Also, if I may ask you regarding the summit, how has been your experience? And thank you so much for coming.
No, I always attend. I make it a point to attend, because I think more than the sharing of my experience, it is the learning. Because you hear views from people who've been doing these things, who are dealing with the same problems, and I can never leave without learning at least two or three things from people where I say, oh my god, like for instance, even today in our panel, and we were talking about graph chart for the weather, and the first thing that I did when I got off the stage is Googled it and said, what does this mean really, and how does it solve weather forecasting? You never know when this thing comes of use, both in our professional lives as well as our personal lives. And then, of course, it's also delightful always to interact with all of you at the editorial team, and keep in touch with what is happening in our ecosystem.
Thank you so much, sir, for your
Thank you,
kind
sir.
words. I look forward to see you for the next summit as well. And thank you.
Thanks. Bye.